Warning, the Stone Age Gamer includes a lot of bad language. Cover your mother ears.
Good evening and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer Podcast. I am Kris Randazzo and joining me tonight is the most premium of editions, Dan Ryan.
I come with like stickers and like temporary tattoos. It's awesome.
I want a temporary tattoo of Dan. Tonight we are also joined by...
I get you one.
We're also joined by special guest Barry Caranza from NintendoFuse and Premium Edition Games. Say hello, Barry.
Hello, Barry.
There it is.
I was going to be really disappointed if it wasn't that.
We're going to chat about what he's been up to, which promises to be a good time for all. Well, I really didn't know where that sentence was going, and I only wrote it a few hours ago. Keep your physical goods close, because the Stone Age Gamer Podcast starts now. Hello, everyone. It is not episode 387, but it is the week of December 3rd, 2021. Let me just adjust my script here. Let's try that again. Hey, it's episode 386. No, it's 387? I was right.
Were you? That doesn't sound right.
Yes, I'm totally right. It's totally 387. Let me check the website.
It's an episode somewhere in the 380s.
You guys are totally professional.
That's right.
I know exactly what I'm doing. This is all part of the plan. I'm actually reading a script right now. Wow, you know what I didn't do?
Write a script?
Set a featured image. Wait, somehow the featured image isn't working for the last... It's 387. Sorry, I'm going to go into our back end on the site. For whatever reason, Geekade doesn't have a featured image for the last episode of the Stone Age Gamer Podcast, which is unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
That's right. This is a professional-ass show. Full of professional-ass people. How's it going, Barry?
It's going great.
How you been?
Been very busy, and one thing about doing different podcasts, and you get to see how everyone does things differently, and it's really interesting how different some are, and how are professional, and how are some are unprofessional, and anyway, it's always a good time.
And how some are not as good as this one. And by some, we mean all.
None of them are as good as this one.
No, not even a little bit. Fuck all other podcasts.
I can't say that. That's
I can. Exhausting. No, you did. You typed it to me. It's all right.
I didn't type anything to you.
Barry said all other podcasts suck.
Yeah, that's
worry,
bullshit.
Our listeners know that Dan is full of shit.
No, they don't. They believe every word that comes out of my mouth.
Oh my goodness.
So, all right.
Yeah.
I'm just going to jump right in. How did you get hooked up with a robot named Fight People? Because that game is fucking awesome.
Wait.
Are we even really recording? I thought you were doing the 387.
No, I'm jumping right in.
No. What's a 387? Oh, yeah, that's the episode.
Wow. Okay.
I thought that was like a code for something I didn't know. I don't know. We should totally back up because it's been a while since Barry's been here. So we should tell everybody, who he is and why he's here. So I think, here's some dude named Barry. Let's just talk to him for a while. You can figure out why he's here.
Would that be weird for this show? So I found this guy named Steve out on the street. He was walking around whistling Zelda, and I was like, "Hey, I got a podcast. We're out of shit."
Stevecast, come on in.
Stevecast. We're out of ideas, so we brought Steve on.
Barry, tell our listeners who are still here for some reason, who you are and why you are here.
Yeah. So, well, I'm here for the insanity, and that's why I'm staying. But yeah, so my name is Barry Caranza, and I did join on a previous episode a long time ago, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's been years at this point, right?
That was actually, we're talking A387, going back all the way to episode 240.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's
been a long time ago.
I've asked Kris to let me back on.
I remember that because we were going to do a Barry and Levon references
we did
for 240, yes.
I started, when you joined the call, I said, good Lord, that's a lot of pudding. And it fell completely fucking flat. Nobody even, reacted.
No, I heard it. I just couldn't say anything.
Oh, God damn it. That's what I'm saying. I was spitting out gold.
You did. You absolutely did.
And everyone was just like, man, we're going to be all professional and try to figure this out. And I was like, whatever, I'll be funny.
But yeah, so it's been a while. Kris needs to let me on more. But well, last time I was on talking that I'm part of NintendoFuse.com. I've been doing that for almost a decade now, where we do a bi-weekly podcast ourselves, where we do that every other Monday night. We do that live and on video, so there is no, oh, let me edit this in post. It is all right there for everybody to see. I also do game reviews. I do industry talks. I just did an industry talk with Heritage Games, the Heritage Auctions, and talked with them about the state of the industry right now, and even talking about the whole controversial video that Carl put out and got their take on it, which was really cool that they were willing to sit down and talk with me. Really, really awesome people. And, that's out right now. So if that interests you, please go to youtube.com/NintendoFuse and check that out. And since then, I also joined another podcast, which is the Switch Mania Playcast, which is a weekly podcast where we play video games, we play Switch games, and we talk about them every episode like a book club. And from there, it grew into Premium Edition Games, where, if you haven't heard of us, we are a physical publisher for the Nintendo Switch, where we take digital-only titles and we bring them out physically for your enjoyment, with a lot of cool extras like slipcases, full-color manuals, and challenge cards, where you can do a developer challenge and earn a physical patch in the mail for free for conquering the challenge at hand.
Ah. How very Activision of you. Good Activision, not bad Activision.
Exactly.
Not current Activision. Please specify. That
no,
is
80s, 70s Activision.
Sweet. All right, Dan. Go ahead.
All right, so how did you get hooked up with the robot named Fight people? Because that game is awesome.
Yes, it is. So the Premium Edition games started with two people, Jeffrey Wittenhagen and Jonathan Poland, and just so happens that they also started the Playcast prior to, and when Jonathan had to step back for a bit, Jeff needed a new co-host, so I joined on as the new co-host for Switch Mania Playcast, and JP wound up coming back after a couple months, and they had begun work on Premium, and they asked me, they said, hey, so just so you're aware, we're doing this behind the scenes. And I was like, shit, why didn't you tell me right from the start? Let's do this. And they said, well, you want in? I said, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I became the third member to actually join the company before we ever went public. So I'm honored to be one of the founding members there. We got a few more people on the team, like Frank and Erica, and we launched to the world last August with our first direct. We recorded a direct, animations and everything to announce everything, and we launched with our first series of games, which was Super Blood Hockey and Pigeon Dev Games Collection, which is 4 games in one. That's Awesome P1 and 2, Bucket Knight, and Explosive Jake. And the reception was very well received. And of course, we teased a robot named Fight. And the only reason the robot named Fight wasn't part of that first series is the developer, Matt, who is an amazing, amazing man, told us he had plans for some really cool add-on stuff. And when we release a physical game, we want it to be complete on cart. We don't want downloads. We don't want updates. So we told him we would tease the game and we would release it only when he was done with the game.
Nice.
So he finished the game in time for Series 2. So we released that with Demon's Tier Plus with another direct back in June, early June, I believe it launched, or maybe it was late May, but the pre-order started in June. And again, great reception. And we teased Series 3. We teased Cathedral. And now Series 3 is out. We just did a direct, which hopefully you gentlemen have had time to see. If you haven't, I really hope you go watch it. Those are a lot of fun. I write the directs. We do like a table read, and we have some fun back and forth, and we change things around, and we try to make it fun and humorous for everybody. And then we premiere it so everyone can see. And Series 3 is now out. It is now available for pre-order. It launched November 16th, and it ends December 16th. So what we do is we do open pre-orders for our Premium Standard, which is our $40 version of the game, which gives you the game, that gives you the case with the inlay art, gives you a full color manual, it gives you the challenge card, it gives you a slipcase and sleeve. And the 3 games that we have now are Cathedral, which is an 2D action adventure in the vein of Castlevania meets Metroid meets Zelda 2 meets Shovel Knight. And it is phenomenal. And I'm not just saying that because we're putting it out. I put 40 hours into that game, 100%ing it. I was addicted. The second game we're doing is called Phenotopia Awakening. This has become the darling of the series because nobody has heard of this. It is a 16-bit pastel-colored action-adventure. Think Zelda 2, but on a much grander scale with a bunch of modern improvements and stuff like cooking and fishing and all that stuff. And it is about a 60-hour adventure over this open world, beautiful story. It's going to go places you're not expecting it to go, which is always good to keep people on their toes. And the reception has been amazing. This is a game that came out in the eShop, and it just came out to no fanfare, and it just sunk because no one bought it. Right. And it's a real shame. So, the developer was even approached by other people, and they told him, "Oh, the digital sales suck. We're not going to put your game out physically." So when we approached him, he actually was like, "No, you don't want our game." And I'm like, "No, we're cheerleading for you now. We want your game." So we're happy to be able to bring that to new audiences because it's a masterpiece. And the last game we did just fell in our lap, actually. We weren't originally going to have it as Series 3, but it's, again, complete on cart, no new content. So we said, let's do it. Let's do a third game, and that's Mighty Fight Federation. This is a 3D arena brawler a la Power Stone. It's got 11 original characters that are all unique, quirky, and fun. And then it's got 5 guest characters. It's got Toe Jam and Earl. It's got Ukulele. It's got Kunio and Ricky from the Kunio-kun River City Ransom series. And then it's got Miriam from Bloodstained. All with stages, stories, music. It is amazing. This has online play where it's cross-play with PC, PS4, Xbox One, rollback netcode. Up to 4 players locally can play as well, or you could do like just 1v1 matches. It's got missions. It's just a ton of fun to play. And if you grew up and you enjoyed Power Stone, you would know that the 3D arena kind of died because of Smash Brothers, right? Everything is now 2D. So this kind of brings back those older days, and it's just a really, really cool addition. And again, these are all open pre-order. We do also have retros. The retros are 60, which have some bonus stuff, including soundtracks, and each game has a retro-inspired box. Cathedral and Phenotopia's retros are sold out. Those are limited to 500 per the site. So at this time, they are unfortunately sold out. Mighty Fight Federation still has some left, but it's running low. So if that's something you're interested in, I'd definitely recommend grabbing that before that one sells, because these are awesome additions, and I don't want people to be like, "Oh, I missed it. Can I still get it later on?" If you have the opportunity, grab it. But if you just like standards, they are open pre-order till the 16th, and we only release games we love. So as we were alluding about Robot Named Fight, we always try to raise the bar and release amazing titles. So we love all of our titles.
That's really, really cool. I really like the like the Power Stone connection with the Dreamcast inspired CD soundtrack case for the Mighty Fight Federation. That's really fucking cool.
Yeah, actually, our artist that did that, there's a couple references there. So the CD soundtrack is Power Stone Dreamcast inspired. The retro box is inspired by Mighty Final Fight for the NES, the old Capcom. So it's done in that vein, but with all the characters. And the slipcase that will go over the standard premium, it is inspired by Power Stone Collection on the PSP. So we tried to incorporate some inspiration from the Power Stone and the Capcom history. On top of that, one of the items you get in the retro box is a pack of cards that contains some of the fighters. Each fighter gets a card, and we have 2 additional packs on the website. And if you get all the cards together and you flip them over, it actually makes an image like the old Turtles cards and G.I. Joe cards of yesteryear. Nice. Just trying to do something cool. And each pack is a set number, so it's not random. It's you just buy all the 3 packs, you're getting all the cards. We just wanted to do something that harkens back to our childhood and do something we think is pretty cool. And that's what we want to do. We're all collectors in the company. We love cool stuff, so anything we do is going to be one of those things where we would want to own it in our own collection.
Awesome. Speaking of collections, you mentioned JP before. Now,
Yes.
I follow him on Twitter.
Okay.
Is he a billionaire? Because like every single day it's like, I just picked up three or four new games. Oh, this Zelda cover's got a slightly darker cover. Ah, crap, I gotta buy all of them now. Like, how in the world does he afford to buy? Does he actually? He literally buys every Switch game, right?
Yeah, JP and I have this running thing because we're both full set collectors, so we both have a full Switch set. The difference is my set, I go like the all US and then English language on top of that. JP does the exact same thing, but then he goes for variants. So like if a game comes out in the US and Europe, and the Europe is just slightly different picture, he will get both versions, where I'll just get the US version. And how
trying to find all the instruction manuals to the Disney one, right?
I mean, I would like to get
with
them all
different
too.
instruction manuals.
Yeah.
What a dick move is that?
There's 4 manuals. I don't know why, and you can't tell from the outside. I don't know why they do it. It is truly a dick move. I'd like to get them all, but I'm not gonna go crazy and just buy a bunch of games and unpack. But he's that kind of crazy. He is very much into the Switch, and that's part of his charm and why we love him so much. But
it's fascinating. I don't know how. I can't even pretend to be able to afford something like that.
He doesn't divulge his secrets to me. I know when you hang out with him, he is just typical down to earth, awesome person. Wife, 2 kids, just a really great guy and a great friend, and I love getting to spend time with him. Went to multiple cons with him, hang out with him. But as for that, he won't tell me, so I can't answer that question. I don't know.
It's fascinating.
That's really wild. I can't imagine being a modern full set collector. Like every physical game that comes out, you buy.
So I was actually just talking about this with my friend Mike. Does that also include like Strictly Limited and Limited Run?
Oh yeah. That's everyone.
So you buy from the competition.
Oh no! See, there you're wrong. We don't have competition.
How dare you, sir?
We don't view anybody as competition because we're collectors too. We support everybody. The industry is only as healthy if everybody succeeds. So
and it's not like they're releasing the same games.
Everyone's releasing different games.
Yeah.
We absolutely support them, and we have good relationships with them, and I think that's what this whole industry needs, because it's tough. I mean, it's tough, and we understand as collectors, like people who wanted a full limited run set or strictly limited or super rare, sometimes it's hard because they have 50, 60 releases or more, and like limited run puts out a new release every week. It's crazy. We go slowly, so all of our series are about 6 months apart, because what we'll do is we have the open pre-order right till December 16th. So when that ends is when we're going to order the carts, so we know how many to order. We expect around 3 months or so before all production on everything is done. They're assembled and they're shipped for the standard premiums. Another month or so for the retro. And during this time, of course, we're always talking about the games and giving people time to rest their wallets, and we'll do some second chance sales as if we have any extras come in, but we won't talk about the next series. So in this case, Series 4, until Series 3, at least the standard premiums have shipped, because we don't want people to think like, oh well, I didn't get Cathedral yet, and you're already talking about a new game and a new series. Like, wait a minute, what about Cathedral? Like, we don't want people to feel that way. So like, we launched Series 3 after Roman Aim Fight and Demon's Tier plus the standard premiums shipped out, and we did the same with Series 2. We waited till Pigeon Dev and Super Blood Hockey were in people's hands. We feel that's important, just going slowly, because like, this isn't our full-time job. Like, this is a side hobby that we do because we love video games. So, a lot of our free time, most of our free time goes devoted into this. But we want, we wouldn't be here without all the wonderful supporters that are helping us, and we want to show that we appreciate them, and we're just not like, oh, next one up.
Well, I do understand that feeling. I'm as understanding as I can be, but I strictly limited, I pre-ordered Turrican a very long time ago now, and they've announced a bunch of new releases since then, and I understand what's going on with it, but it's like I feel a little burned having spent money on those Turrican sets, and like it's been a long time, and there's still no like even estimated ship date on those, and I guess it's kind of an interesting situation because like they're doing all this work to those Turrican games, but it's like they kind of bit off a little bit more than they could chew at first. So it's like, okay, we're going to do these cool things and here's what it's going to happen. And they're like, oh no, this was way harder than we expected. And we're sorry. We're still going to do these things. It's going to take a long time. So like, just bear with us. But it's like, I get that. But at the same time, I'm just really hoping to have a Turrican collection by now. And I passed on the other Turrican collection because it doesn't have all the games in it, whereas these ones do. So, you know, I understand where it's coming from, but I also appreciate the foresight to look at a situation and be like, we're just going to do what we can do, and we're going to make sure that these get done before we move on to the next thing. But also, I understand that moving on to the next thing is what helps you afford to keep going. And if you don't move on to the next thing, well, then you don't have any new revenue coming in if you get stuck on the old thing. So it's a weird industry that you're a part of, and it's I don't envy your position in the least, but I think it's pretty cool that you guys went about trying to do that. So you're just doing Switch stuff, right? You're not messing with any other platforms?
Right now, we're just doing Switch stuff, but that we're not saying no to doing any other platforms. We're definitely looking into it, but we're not trying to go crazy with it. You know, we understand we want to do things that are fun. Like we were at Too Many Games, and someone called us the working designs of the Switch. And we're rolling with that. We're like, you know, that's an honor. You know, as collectors, working designs is amazing. Right there. So, like, one of the things we're doing is if you take a look at the imagery for Cathedral, we have the manual art there, and you can see the manual art like looks black and white because it is black and white. However, on the final version of the manual, everywhere you see white is actually going to be foil.
I was just going to ask, like, is it going to be all foil, like the working design stuff?
Well, already, if you get a copy of A Robot Named Fight or Demon Seer Plus, there's foil already on the manuals.
Excellent.
So I mean, people, you know, called us that because of the quality. You know, Working Designs was known for just giving you like the best version of every game they released, and that's what we're trying to do too. So, you know, the foil is just kind of like a running thing, like, oh, it was Working Designs thing, so we're going to run with it too. But all of our releases, we're always trying to up the ante, like even the quality. Like we have the slipcovers on Series 1 and 2. They're great. People love them. Series 3, we're actually changed to a new producer for them that does it higher quality. So we're making even higher quality, a little like thicker cardboard, a little stronger. We're always trying to do, you know, good things like that. Like if we can make it even cooler, if we can make it better quality, you know, we're always aiming to do that.
Now, I ask about other platforms somewhat self-servingly, but I think it would be counterintuitive to the other thing you said is that you only do games that you guys love. Because I keep holding out hope that somebody, someday, some way, will find a way to get Blaster Master Overdrive onto a physical medium. The problem is the game's not very good. But it's the only Blaster Master game that doesn't physically exist, and it drives me crazy.
I know you love your Blaster Master. You know, right now we're approved for Nintendo, and we are actually approved for PlayStation. We are not, you know, certain what we're gonna do with that, but we kind of just, can we do it? Can we get approved? And we did. For older systems, that's obviously a lot harder to do.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. You said you're approved for Nintendo. Does that just exclusively mean Switch?
Switch. Nintendo Switch. Okay. Yeah, we're approved for Nintendo Switch. I will clarify. So, you know, first off, in order to do this, you do have to be approved. But even if you're approved, you need to get the rights from the developer, which means they have to agree to it as well. And like we have in our Discord, we have a premium edition Discord. We have a suggest a release channel where people will be, it'd be really cool, this game, and that's always helpful. And I suggest people to do that because that's how we found like Phenotopia. None of us had heard about it until someone brought it to our attention, and I'm so glad they did. So it does work. Now, a lot of these games that people do suggest, we do reach out to them. Sometimes they tell us flat out no. Like one of the ones I wanted to do was Fast Racing Rmx. Really want that physical. I love F-Zero and I love the fast racing games, and they flat out told me no. Like, we're not interested in doing a physical.
That's
broke my
weird.
heart.
I wonder why.
I don't know. They just like, nope.
That game's got a following. Like, it's a really cool game. I haven't played a ton of it, but wasn't that Fast Racing Neo? Wasn't that on Wii U?
Neo was on Wii U and got a European release, physical. But RMX was on the Switch at launch, still only digital. They said no, they were not interested. Maybe something happened with that European release. I don't know. But
that's weird.
They didn't want to do it. Sometimes we talk to them and they say that it's already taken, but we can't say anything then because we know it's already taken, but it hasn't been announced yet. We're not at liberty to divulge that information out of respect. So even though we tried and it's coming and it's great for the people that suggest it, makes us happy because that means a great game is getting physical treatment, we can't actually tell people. And other times we sit down and talk about it and the terms don't work for us. And sometimes they're just not receptible, and other times they are, and other times everything works out. We try the game. So when I say games we love, is all the games we have to play. Like, we have to play, we have to really enjoy the games because that's it. We want to put out cool games. If it's going to have the premium edition name there, we want people to know that that's going to be a really quality game that hopefully you'll find some enjoyment out of. What the Nintendo Seal of Quality used to mean. So we tried and do that, and
I think that's still arguable. Wasn't the sort of quality on stuff like Muscle? Like,
how dare you? Muscle is fucking great.
No, it was not.
Nope, it's awesome. Nothing bad about it. You shall not besmirch the fine name of Muscle in my presence, good sir.
Well, okay. So arguably, it meant something.
Thank you.
Obviously not every game is for everybody, but that's one of the reasons we also do the challenge cards, is because we want people to play their games. I mean, don't just buy them, put them on a shelf. We're guilty of that too. So we want people to
buy every flipping game. You couldn't possibly play them all.
You're right, and I've got other games to play, like possible physicals, which we're always playing games that have a good chance, and even when we do those, we don't, like Cathedral, for example. I didn't do 40 hours into it and go, yes, we have to sign this. I played it for about 30 minutes, and I knew at that point, I said, this is a game we have to play. And then after it's already signed and it's coming out, then that's when I go back and I'm like, all right, now I'm going to play it to completion so I can talk about it more.
Right, because so this is really just a way for you to get free games. All right, got it. No problem. Picking up what you're putting down, Barry, and I like it.
Well, you could just do reviews if you want that. There's a lot.
I keep trying and nobody will fucking send me anything.
We're always looking for reviewers at NintendoFuse, so if you're interested.
Sir, yes, I'm a wonderful writer. Ask Kris, he'll tell you.
He is a wonderful writer. He just doesn't have any fucking time.
I got time for free games, Kris.
You don't play the games you own.
Hey, Barry doesn't need to know that.
Hey, as long as you produce, reviews to make the developers and the publishers happy, that's all that matters.
I will fucking sell out for anybody. I have zero integrity, Barry. Absolutely zero. What's this game? It's the best game I ever played.
Well, that means your reviews aren't really worth it because.
Wait, no. What do you want me to say? What do I need to say here, Barry?
You need to be honest. You need to be honest.
Oh, I'm 100% honest all the time.
That's not what you just said.
No, well, I was kidding about that shit.
You got to be honest in reviews, otherwise no one's going to take anything you say seriously.
Now, see, here's why I'm going to pitch myself real quick, all right?
All right.
The reason that I should review Switch games is because I am a PlayStation guy. I'm not a Switch guy. So you're not going to get the like, oh, it's a Nintendo game. It's on the Switch. It's the fucking best thing ever. Like Kris over here does that for everything.
Look, buddy.
Oh, that's great.
I'm brutally honest. Plenty of subpar reviews in Nintendo Force.
I'm brutally honest. I know.
You got to be honest in your reviews. I mean, that's something once you lose your word and your integrity, it's very hard to get it back.
No, of course, man. And like, so has anybody like reached out to you? Because I imagine that might be an interesting problem. Of they're like, hey, so we've got this game coming out. We'd love for you guys to maybe do a physical edition here. Check it out, and you play it, and it's just awful. Like, does it happen the other way around, or is it always you guys reaching out to people?
No, it happens both. I mean, when we started, we were reaching out to people because no one knew who we were.
Right.
But after we started to build up our rapport, we've had quite a bit of people reach out and hey, here's our game, here's our code, what do you think? And not everyone meets the cut, and sometimes they absolutely do. And we have games signed that I can't talk about, and I won't say any that we just didn't enjoy, because not every game is our taste. We all have different tastes in video games, and what we do is we pretty much if 3 people, let's say, really love the game, and like one person's like on it, then the 3 people will talk to the one and be like, all right, let's kind of sell it to them. And that does happen, and a lot of times games sometimes grow on you too. You could pick up a game at first chance and say, that didn't really get me, and then you come back to it with a fresh take, and suddenly it's like, why didn't I play this before? This is amazing. It's happened on games I've just literally purchased, let alone stuff for work.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I made I talked about Hollow Knight with Kris for forever. I was like, dude, you gotta play this game. This game is absolutely incredible. It's got XYZ. Here are all the reasons you should play it and love it. And the first time Kris played it, he was like, I don't know.
Yeah, not the same boat for me.
Not really digging it. And then eventually, and I imagine this is what would happen with you too, Barry, because I feel like your sensibilities as far as gaming is concerned are somewhat in tune with ours. There is a point in that game where it just hooks you and becomes like one of the best games you've ever played. You're like, my God.
I have heard that before, actually.
It was like a year or 2 later that I went back to it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this another shot. I'm going to mess around with a walkthrough just to experience a little more. And then it finally hooked me, but it took a while to get there.
Yeah.
I just didn't, I liked the idea of it at first, but it just took a long time to actually get to the point where I was having fun playing it, and then I couldn't put it down. But, the same thing happened with Axiom Verge. I didn't really like it at first, and then it clicked with me after everyone was like, oh, no, it's literally Super Metroid. It's a Metroid game. And I was like, well, this doesn't play like Metroid at all. It doesn't feel like Metroid. It kind of looks like Metroid. And I stopped playing it for a bit, and then I picked it back up, thinking of it as like no longer thinking of it as a Metroid game and kind of respecting it for what it was. And then all of a sudden it started to click with me. It's like, yeah, no, this isn't a Metroid game. This is a different species, and it's a good one. And I wasn't enjoying it because my expectations were this is a Metroid game, because everyone was telling me it was Metroid. Like, okay, so it's got some visible similarities to Metroid. That doesn't make it Metroid.
See, I agree with you on Axiom Verge. I did enjoy it, but I never really got Metroid vibes from it. It was a Metroidvania, but I never really took me in as Metroid.
I can see the inspirations, but
Robot Named Fight. Have you played that yet?
I have not.
Now that is Super Metroid.
It's on my list of things to do, but that list is very sadly long.
That is Super Metroid with roguelike elements, where every time you play, it's a different map, unless you use the seed code, in which case you can replay the same map you got. And there's over 4 billion different combinations. It's literally infinite Super Metroid with
that kind
crazy
of stuff turns me off.
Well, you don't have to play it
stuff.
That
always
times.
turns procedurally generated stuff always turns me off, and I know that it shouldn't because it's gotten a lot better. But for some reason,
here's something
it just
that's
always
really
turns
cool
me off.
that he was able to do. Keep in mind, this was done by one person. he made it so like there's like over 100 different power-ups, but you don't get them all every run. So each like design, like each layout of the seed is designed over or after whatever power-ups you get. So like if you get fire attacks, that means you're going to encounter doors that you need the fire attack to open, much like super missiles. You won't encounter electricity and be like, well, crap, I'm stuck because I don't have electricity. Like if you get like usually a jump or so, like a special jump, like, all right, well, I got hover jump. You'll encounter puzzles and arenas where you need hover jump to proceed. You won't be like, well, I need the triple jump and I can't get up that high, I'm stuck. Well, that sucks. The way the layouts are designed, you will always be able to complete every single seed 100%.
Yeah, it's a really damn good game. Like it's really, really good. And I'm not a huge fan of roguelike stuff either. And that, like, a lot of that just goes back to being a kid and being, you know, the kid who sat there with graph paper drawing out the maps and whatever. And like I just like that aspect of really like knowing and learning the world. But I think I picked that up on the Switch. It was on sale for like $2.50 or something like that. Some absurd cheap price. And I was like, all right, I've heard cool things about this. And picked it up and was like, damn, I mean, this is just really good. And what you're saying is really impressive. To be able to have that many different variations that all work is crazy.
Exactly. So
like that's an absurd thing for somebody to have decided to do.
Yeah, it is very monumental and it's very ambitious, and it's amazing that he was able to do so. And it's modeled after Super Metroid. Like, it plays like Super Metroid. It feels like, you know how sometimes you can play like, oh, this is a platformer, but it doesn't play like Mario. Like, it feels, something feels off. It doesn't feel that way with this. It feels like you're controlling Samus, even though you're controlling Fight.
Yeah, damn good.
Well, like I said, it's on my list of things to do.
Damn good, bloody good, damn good.
Now, if you're not a big fan of procedural stuff, look into Cathedral and Phenotopia.
Oh, Cathedral is on. See, it's been on my actual. I might even have bought that one already. I don't remember. Cathedral was like that. Yeah, that game looks like it for me, and it was been on my Switch wish list forever. I can't remember if I bought it at any point, but no, I'm well aware of Cathedral. The other one is news to me, but I've heard of the other two.
Yeah, neither of those are procedural generated. They're static, big open worlds with a ton of secrets. You're always rewarded for exploring too, which I love. Lots of humor, and it's just so addicting when just like Zelda. You know, you're stuck and you're like, where do I go? And then suddenly it clicks. You realize, oh, I never checked over here, and that gets you the item that you need to go explore 100 other places. And now suddenly, like, the game's opened up to you. That's what this is like. Both of these are like this, and it's just phenomenal. Cathedral has towns. Well, they both have towns like Zelda too, but Cathedral has multiple sprawling towns. Oh, Cathedral actually has multiple too. But like the quests in Phenotopia go above and beyond. And what I mean by that is, like, at one point you need to get somebody some liquor. All right, well, where do you go to get a liquor? You go to the bar, right? So you go to the bar to buy liquor, and he needs to see your ID. Well, now you don't have an ID. Where do you get an ID? So now you have to find an ID. And you finally find someone's ID, but the picture on the ID, the person has different hair than you do, or different color hair than you do. So now you actually have to go to the hair dyeing place and dye your hair the right color so that you can use this ID to pass off as this person to get the liquor for the quest. And it's that kind of, like, extra thinking, like going that extra mile that fleshes out the world.
Sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah, I'm into that.
You know, it could be easy. It's just, here it is, boom. You know.
Now that multi-layered quest structure is very cool.
Very Monkey Island.
Yeah, it's very much so. And again, these are all passion projects. These developers, you know, they have day jobs. I got to do some interviews on the Premium Edition YouTube with some of them, and like, they went to work and they came home and they worked in the game. and I was like, that's awesome. You were able to create this in your spare time. Like, this is like a masterpiece. Like, I rate this game in the 9s, and you did this on your own. And I know teams that work for years on games that come out and they're like 6s.
I know teams that work for years and then put out the Grand Theft Auto collection, and it's like, whoop, sorry, our bad, guys.
There's that Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
there's plenty of examples. X-Men Destiny. There's plenty of games that just flounder.
I think
for the wrong
we've
reasons, for the right reasons.
Purposely forgotten about X-Men Destiny.
Well, funny that one of the head in Komi Games for Mighty Fight Federation actually used to work at 2Human and actually was on the X-Men Destiny team.
Oh, no shit.
Which is ironic, which of course is a very different game. And that was, Silicon Knights had a lot of problems back then. There wasn't just like, there was a lot of multi-level problems, but he's an amazing developer, and he's got like 20 something years in the industry, and what he was able to do with Mighty Fight Federation was amazing, because fighting games are one of the hardest things to make because there's all that balance you have to do.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Look at what Sakurai had to do with all those characters, and this is 16, and he was able to, So I'm like, I commend you, and especially when you're dealing with other people's property, because you have to handle it properly.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be like, oh, cool, I got Toe Jam and Earl, and I'm gonna make them play like ass. Like, you have to pay respect. These are treasured characters for a lot of people's childhood. You gotta honor that.
So, are there, right, obviously you can't talk about any of the games that are coming, right? I mean, you can tell us off the air. We won't fucking tell anybody. But
can't even do that.
Oh my God, how dare you? I'll tell you, what is the point of knowing a guy if he can't spill industry secrets to you? Are there any games that you guys missed out on that you were like, damn, I really wish we could have done this one?
I mean, there's a ton of games that we would love to do that are already having a physical, and there's already a ton of games that we would love to do that don't have a physical. It just stems to whether we would be able to get it. I mean, like Kris has Blaster Master that he would love. I'd love to do like the Famicom Detective Club games from Nintendo. I'd love to do like Voice of Cards and Star Ocean from Square. I'd love to do the Castlevania Advanced Collection or the Arcade Collection from Konami. There's so many of these great digital-only titles that I would kill to be able to do, but those companies won't even look our way, unfortunately. There's a lot of other great developers where we did just miss out, and I could actually talk about one because it's been announced, which is I Was Awakening.
Yeah.
We were looking at that one, and we approached Elden Pixels, and we said we would like to do a multi-cart for this, and they informed us that it had already been signed. We had missed out. Now we can tell you, obviously you know who it was. Limited Run got it. However, they said we do have another game that you might be interested in that isn't signed, and they're the ones who showed us Cathedral, because Elden Pixels also did Cathedral. So we went for one game, and we missed out on it because it was already signed. We couldn't. Then people were asking us for that game. We couldn't say anything until it was announced. Right. But then we got Cathedral out of it, which is amazing because it's like, oh wow, this worked out even better as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I would love to do both games, of course, but sure. I'm happy that I Was Awakening and Legacy that's getting a physical, which is great because that means I get to have it in my collection too, and as does everybody else. But now we got Cathedral as well, and Cathedral gets a time in the spotlight and a physical release, and they are over the moon because, like, what, you would like our game to, our little game we did on the side, you want it to give a physical release? That's fantastic. They were so excited that they actually purchased copies, even though they get copies. They purchased their own copies. Like, they're so excited. And one of the things we like to do is whenever we release games, because we release them in a series, we do that because we don't want any of the games we release to feel like competition with one another. We want them to be, you're like teammates. You're all going out for the same window. you're all there to help each other. And sometimes someone will say, oh, I want to go through Cathedral, and they'll go to the website, and then they'll see Mighty Fight Federation and go, oh, that looks cool too, and they pick that up. Or they might say, oh, Phenotopia looked great, and then they'll say, oh, well, Cathedral also looks good. So they kind of help each other out that way. So Phenotopia's developers and Mighty Fight Federation developers knew about Cathedral. They didn't know about each other, but they knew about Cathedral because we teased it. Meanwhile, Cathedral development had no idea what they were paired with. So they joined us for the live showing. And afterwards, I was talking with Eric there, which is the head developer, and I said, so what do you think of your teammates, your series mates? And he was like, I'm blown away that I'm paired with these two great games. He's like, in fact, I'm going to be getting Phenotopia right now. And he downloaded Phenotopia, and then he also bought the physical Phenotopia from our site as well, because he, in the contract he would get his own game, not the others. He's like, oh, I have to own this as well. And that's like to me, that's so cool to have one developer helping another developer. That's and it's really bringing people together, and I like that.
Nice. Now, you had mentioned a couple of compilations, and I guess one of the things that I would be interested in is, have you ever tried to reach out to Hamster about any of their archive stuff?
Love that. I would love to do an Arcade Archives collection. Again, it's one of those things where they have not responded, so we've tried.
Gotcha.
Because we're not opposed to compilations. Pigeon Dev Games Collection is actually the first 4-game in one, what they call an MAC, multi-application cart, released by a North American company. And that's not to say we're the first with 4 games on, different games, like Mega Man, obviously, there's those. But those are special applications you open up and you get a menu. Our cart, you put it in and you get the 4 icons appear, which previously only Japanese and European companies have done. So we're the first Americans to do that.
The Ninja Gaiden collection did that.
Yeah, that was Asia. That was not an American release.
Yeah, no, I was saying that was just saying that was one of those. That was the first one that I think that was the first one that I ever got that did that.
Yeah, they're MACs.
Yeah, it was pretty weird and somewhat annoying, because every time I'd put the card in to play Ninja Gaiden, it'd be like, and now these 3 slots are Ninja Gaiden games. Okay, but I'm only playing the first one.
Well, you know what it is? It's cheaper than putting a whole special menu up and having you select. So
absolutely. And I like that it, on the other hand, I like that it has the multiple, now that I'm done playing it, I see all 3 games have their own things, and I like that very much. It's just a weird little, that's more of a Switch UI problem for me personally. Can I please organize my stuff?
Hey, at least they're all on cart, right?
Exactly. At least it's all on the cart, and that's great. I'm slightly bothered because I'm not nowhere near a full set, but I only grab the ones that I really care about, and so everything that I have is North American. That was the first import Switch game that I got, and the words aren't in all caps. It's driving me crazy. It's only when I think about it, because when I look over the shelf, I just see a bunch of red, and I can't really see that one game without the all caps. It's all right, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's just
the Switch,
okay.
Oh man, you would go OCD on my wall.
I would.
You would.
I know I would.
It's interesting how each region does their own thing, and it sucks that we didn't get a US physical, but at least it's in English. Sometimes there's physicals that are not in English at all, and that does bite. Sometimes there's region locking, where the Japanese version, I forget what game it was, where they English isn't going to be there, and Limited Run put out the English version, but they took the English off the Japanese version. Then you get stuff
what game was that? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I forget what game it was now. I know it annoyed a lot of people.
That's going to drive me crazy. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Then you get stuff like Fatal Frame, where Fatal Frame comes out. It's got an English, cover and all that stuff in Asia. However, the English is a download patch. So the card itself is actually only Japanese language. So once the servers go down, it's no longer an English release. So that's one I didn't pick up, because I'm like, that doesn't really count. Yeah, and I hate that. Come on, just put the English patch right on the damn cart. Come on, it's there. It's already translated. So that kind of sucks. But we do have people sometimes asking us, like, would you do a release that has a Japanese release or a European release? And what I always tell people is that is not a plan at this time, because we would rather spend the time and money and the resources to release a game that has no other release, to give it time in the spotlight and time to shine and get it to be, or allow it to be added to other people's collection, versus a game that you can go out right now and buy the European or the Asian version that's in English. Then it's just competition in that regards. We don't want to do that. You could go buy that game right now and own the European version. You know, you don't need to wait 6 months for us to put out a US version. But instead, we'd rather do a US, a game that you can't buy anywhere, and now you get to discover something new.
So you had mentioned before, like, certain companies just don't get back to you or whatever, like Konami.
Yeah.
I feel like Konami's kind of in one of those weird positions. Like, they always just struck me as the kind of company that if somebody came to them and be like, "Hey, can we put this game out?" They'd be like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Because like they don't seem overly protective of their stuff, I guess.
I don't know all the ins and outs, but I did hear, like, because Limited Run has done Konami games, like they had to fly to Japan and have meetings with them and stuff like that. That's what I heard. I don't know the truth of it, but it's every company's different, and right now we're still small, and that's fine.
Of course, yeah.
We're starting out, but you know what? We're small, but we have 4 games out in people's hands already. And we have these 3 announced, and we have one more that's been announced, which was done as a Kickstarter. Talking about the multi-application carts, this is one of them. There was a Kickstarter for a game called Sunshine Manor, and that game is a prequel to another game that did come out previously called Camp Sunshine. So we're all part of the Kickstarter campaign where you could pledge and get a physical version from us. And that physical version is going to be Sunshine Anthology. It's going to have both games. Both games are done. They're on Steam. They're right now being ported to the Switch. So we need to wait for them to be ported to the Switch and then bug tested. And then we're going to go ahead with that. So we've announced it. We just can't work on it yet. But it's gotten great reviews. I mean, the Steam version has gotten great reviews. And they're like, 16-bit horror games. So we're hoping maybe we could have it out by Halloween. That'd be nice, but I guess we'll see. It all depends up to them. Like the rest of the games we work on are already done. This is the only one, like the first one we've done with where it was still in development. So it's like, great, we're signed on, but our hands are tied.
Well, how do you? One of the problems that folks run into with the collecting of physical games, like not just not the really hardcore ones, but like my friend Mike, for example, is a gigantic Castlevania fan. So, the Castlevania collection comes out and he bought it. But then like 6 months later or whatever, the physical edition gets announced. Now, like, he doesn't want to go out and buy the game again. He already has it. But that physical version sure would be nice. So now there becomes this like kind of weird, timid kind of thing when a game comes out digital, like, boy, I'd really like to buy that, but is it going to get physical a year from now? And I would rather have that. So do I wait? Now, how do you combat the feeling of like people being did you ever run into people who are resentful of like, why wasn't this announced like a year ago when this game came out or something? I'd love to have it physical, but I paid $40 for it already. I'm not paying another $50 to get it physical, like that kind of thing.
We haven't had anybody that I could think of come yell at us or be angry at us for doing a physical down the road, because we have no say on the digital launch of a game. In fact, a lot of times we discover games after the fact. We've talked with games while still in development. We've played like early betas for games and stuff, early demos, and had to work on that. We've had discussions, but for the most part, a lot of our games come after the fact when the game's already out. But we've not to my knowledge, have ever had anybody get angry. I'm not one to double dip in terms of that. Like, I don't usually buy digital games. Voice of Cards was a rare exception just because I really enjoyed that demo, and I would love to do a physical of it. But for the most part, if it's digital only, I'll hold off as long as possible because that's just who I am. And it's not like there's other games that I could be playing right now. But Yeah, we really haven't. In fact, we've had the opposite. We've had people thanking us instead for bringing their favorite games out and thanking us for introducing, because a lot of people have never heard of the games before we introduce them. And then they get to see. And we've had people who, after they watch the Series 3 Direct, say, you know what, not only am I going to purchase the physicals, but I just went out and bought the digitals because I want to play them right now. They look so good. And they're telling everybody, like in our Discord, like, these games are amazing. I'm playing them now, and I'm not associated with a company. I can just tell you these games are amazing, and I'm just having a blast. And they bought them again physically, so they did purposely double dip, just because they wanted to experience it now.
Yeah, I did that with Blaster Master, but that's because I'm a nutcase.
Yeah, you are obsessed with Blaster Master.
It's just so good.
I remember when 03 was announced. First thing I did was send you a link to it in case you didn't see.
Yeah, good times. Oh boy! All right, what's next? I did have a question from one of our Discord folks in the SAG podcast channel.
Sure.
Jumpkate wanted to know, since it's not on the same distribution level as a first-party Nintendo title, how does the manufacturing process work when producing smaller batches of physical games?
That's a great question. Okay, so there's a lot of different assets to it. The most important thing is Nintendo has to approve everything. So first and foremost, you have the game. The game is already out in digital, but it has to be approved for physical, which is a completely separate process. So the game has to be resubmitted for physical approval and the lot check. We've had games that go like that, boom, nothing. And then we've had Super Blood Hockey, which took us 2 months of back and forth because they kept finding weird bugs that we had to get back to the developer and say, hey, this is what they found. You need to fix this so we could proceed. Once Nintendo approves that, and they're strict, they will find weird things. Like they'll plug in, they'll be like, oh, if you use the third controller while turning it upside down and pushing left on the D-pad and right on the analog stick while holding R and L, this happens. And be like, what? Who's gonna do that? But you gotta fix it. Once that's approved, you could then begin production of the physical cart. Now, Nintendo of America is different than Nintendo of Europe. Nintendo of America requires a minimum print run of 5,000 units. Nintendo of Europe, I believe, is 3,000. So every release we do is a minimum of 5,000. We do the open pre-orders because we don't want to limit it to 5,000 in case there's more people that absolutely want the game. We want to be able to do that because once you go past the 5,000, you order in increments of 1,000. So if we had 5,000 in one cell, we would order 6,000. Now, in addition to that, there's, like I said, every other thing needs to be approved. So the labels, each Switch game has a label. You got to submit the label design, and they have to approve it, and then they will print it out for you. So because they do that, they'll do everything with the carts. As for everything else, you can do it, but it has to be done at a Nintendo-approved facility. And there's a bunch of them, not just like Nintendo in-house, but Nintendo-approved. But they have to approve of the artwork, the inlay, both sides of the inlay. They have to approve of the manual. Anything that goes into the case, the challenge card has to be approved. Anything that goes there has to be approved for sale. Slipcase, slipcover, all that stuff has to be approved. Now, once you have that, then it can be assembled. Again, a Nintendo authorized plant has to do it. You can't just be like, well, my Uncle Jim over there can do it in his garage. Nope, they won't let you. And it's all on the up and up, and it's all part of their system that they go through. And if they don't like even one thing, they will reject. And if they reject, you have to get back to them, to resubmit it. And sometimes it could take a week or two before they get to your item. So that's why we do a lot of the stuff beforehand. Like most of our art is already approved by Nintendo, but we still have that artwork subject to change. And that's one of the reasons we do that is because Nintendo might say, oh, hold on, let's change this, just one little thing. So we cover our ass that way. the games have already passed lot check. You also have to have an ESRB submission, which a lot of people don't realize. That ESRB on each game case, even if it's digitally released, you need a physical ESRB submission, which costs extra money to get it approved for a physical package. So there's like all these other assets you just have to go through to get a game physical. Even as a smaller publisher, you still have to jump through all the same hoops. And Nintendo will print your game as long as it meets the minimum. They'll find in their schedule, and they'll slot you in, and they'll tell you, and they'll show you when everything's done. And we always get like advanced copies to double check, make sure everything's working, and we also use that to share on social media, let people know, hey, look, it's coming. But yeah, it's a process. It's a long process.
What exactly made you guys decide to start doing this? Like, you said that you were on the podcast together, and then one thing led to another, and now you're doing this. Like, what made you think, you know what we should do? We should start making physical copies of games. Like,
well, as physical collectors, it was like, well, what else can we do? Like, what should be done? And Jeff was like, I'm gonna submit an application. Like, let's see if they actually will approve me. It was more like a what if. And it was approved, and he was like, "Oh my god, I'm approved! Like I'm approved. I'm on the Nintendo webpage now, and I am approved. Like, all right, well, let's do something with this." So, why not? And it's been an amazing experience as collectors, and as analysts and people who just love video games to now be a part of the industry. And for me, it's about talking to the developers, getting to know them. And getting new eyes on their games, because we did Retro World in Connecticut last month. No, this month still, November. And we did a panel, and I was telling everybody, I said, we're here selling our products, but the truth is, we're here for the developers. And if you're not a physical collector, that's fine. I don't judge. Then support these games. Give these developers a shot, because they're all worth it. But if you like physical products and you like to own your games, then we're going to give you the best package we can with the best version of the game we can.
Well, pretty cool. Well, the only other question we got from Discord, I think you more or less answered. Scion Storm asked, what, if any, qualities do you look for in a game that you plan on doing a limited release of? You more or less answered that. Do you have anything to add? I mean,
the qualities are, we have to love it. Like, it just has to be fun. It's got to, just be something that we would absolutely choose to play on our own free time, right? Because, it's like, if you're a movie critic, you have to watch movies. But if you don't have to review a movie and you just want to watch a movie, is this one you would put in to watch? It's the same with video games. If this is something you say, well, I'm only playing it because I have to, that's not a really good selling point. Put that on the box. I'm only playing this because I have to. We want to say, I put 40 hours into Cathedral. I didn't do that because I had to. I did that because I was obsessed with the game. I couldn't put it down. And to me, like that's a quality. And I think we all kind of get that from our favorite games, our favorite genres. Many people listening, probably Nintendo. A new Mario game comes out, a new Zelda game comes out, Metroid, comes out. We're like, oh my god, I have to play it right away. I can't stop playing it. I'm addicted to this game until the credits roll, and then probably move on, or maybe you play it 100 more times. That's how we have to feel. We have to be like, this is something that is amazing. It may not set the world on fire, but it has to be amazing to us, at least the majority of us. And we all kind of get a veto card too, where we could be like, no, I don't care what you say, we're doing this game. If it's something we really, really are passionate about. And we haven't had to use that yet, because every one of our releases we've all been in love with. And I think it's reassuring when we do the challenges, because people submit the challenges to us via email. And I can't tell you how many times I've gotten people that have submitted it and said in their email, I never would have played this game. This is not my type of game. But I did this for the challenge. I wanted the patch. And I want to thank you because I can't stop playing this game now. This is now one of my favorite games. And to me, that's amazing because we know the developers worked really hard on these titles, and they deserve this attention. And the fact that we could do that, we can introduce you to this title, is awesome. And I've seen that a lot. I've seen a lot of people go like, "Oh, I only intended to play just for the challenge, and I just keep playing it." You know, I just want to keep doing them. Or like Pigeon Dev, I just needed to beat one of them for the challenge, and I did, but now I'm beating them all. Like, I had such a good time, I'm beating them all. Or you know, Robot Named Fight, I did the challenge, and I can't stop playing this game. And we hope that Series 3 continues that tradition, where people will continue to play the game long after the challenge is completed. And like Series 1's challenges were pretty easy. We did it, you know, just more for the fun. Series 2 challenges are tough, like really tough in comparison. So Series 3 challenges are kind of in between. They lean more towards 2, but they're not as tough because we want people to accomplish them for sure. But the patches are even more limited going forward, which is one of those things where, you know, if you want to complete your copy, it's like the race is on when you get your copy in.
And you said you guys come up with the challenges, or like you collectively with the developers?
Developer.
Okay.
The challenges are right from the developers themselves. We can suggest stuff to them.
Okay.
Because some developers have said, "Wow, you know, I never really thought of that." So we'll be like, what about this or this or this? Any of these work? And they'll be like, "Ooh, I like that one." Okay. If that's what you want the challenge to be, okay, we'll do it. They have to be fair. You know, we don't want it to be like so hard that no one does them, like those achievements or trophies you see that like 0.1% of the people have them. But we also don't want it to be where it's like, turn the game on, congratulations, everyone gets it, everyone gets a trophy. We want it to be somewhere in between, because when people share it, you know, it becomes an event. Their friends start congratulating them, and the developers start congratulating them, and it's really nice to see bringing the developers and the community together. Like Super Blood Hockey specifically, the challenge was you have to eliminate a player in the franchise mode, which, for those that don't know, Super Blood Hockey is an RPG. It's a hockey game, but it's an RPG. Franchise mode is a full-fledged RPG. So people are killing players, and they're posting them, and they're all funny ways of how they die. Everyone's laughing. The developers, Cloud9, you know, just responding to everybody, loving that people are enjoying his game. And we're happy that he's getting to enjoy this, because he should. He made a phenomenal game. And Super Blood Hockey is one of those titles that, who would think? You know, and some people say, like, oh, do you have a type of game to release? I mean, we launched with a hockey game. It's an RPG, but it's a hockey. How many people launch with a hockey game as their first title? We like cool games. It doesn't matter the genre. So we're going to do that, and that's why we want suggestions, because there's so many games out there. The eShop, every week, there's hundreds of games, it feels like, and so many of them are lost. And it's a shame, because there's so many great titles that never get physical releases and are just lost to the ether. And we don't want that. We want to be able to say, hey, here's some games you weren't expecting, here's some games you didn't know about, but now you do, and now you're going to love them. Robot Named Fight, you only got notice of it because it was $2. And that's why they do sales as well. I mean, you said, how did you get involved with the Robot Named Fight people?
Right.
You know, I'm not Matt Bittner. I'm friends with him. You know, he's an amazing person. I got to talk with him, and I still get to talk with him. And he is a wonderful, wonderful man. And definitely suggest everyone support him and check him out. He's truly deserving of that attention. But you know, we were just lucky enough to be able to bring his creation into the physical world, and that's just it. Some people know us for Robot Named Fight, some people know us for Super Blood Hockey, some people know us for Pigeon Dev or Demon's Tier or now Cathedral or Phenotopia or Mighty Fight, and that's interesting to us. Like, what game did you discover us on? And one of the most popular questions I get is, I just discovered you. How do I get your back catalog? I feel bad every time.
You don't.
Well, the thing is Super Blood Hockey and Robot Named Fight, the standard, well, they're sold out. Robot Named Fight, we might have some retro editions and might have some deluxe, but we are sold out of the standard premiums. They were very popular. What we're going to do is, after December 16th, after Series 3 ends, we're going to be doing a second chance sale for Series 2. So we're going to be looking and seeing how many retro editions we have, and if we have any standard premiums that we can do. Because we also have distributors, so we have to make sure distributors get their copies. Mm-hmm. Any that we do have, we will announce it, and we will put it up on the site for a limited time. This will just be our way of saying, hey, look, we have some extra copies. I know people are just discovering us now, and we want to let people get a chance. Because we don't want people to go to eBay, but we only have X amount of copies, so we can only use so much. But we do have distribution partners, and some, you might go into a local store and be like, oh my God, there's a copy of Pigeon Dev just sitting here, and they could be one of our distribution partners. So you never know.
That's
how
very,
hard
very
is it
cool.
to go back and reprint something? Like, how hard is it to say, like, all right, it's been a couple of years, but there still seems to be some demand for this. Let's just make another like couple thousand copies. How hard is that to do?
It's easy to do. We could just say we need another 1,000 copies because it has to be printed in 1,000 intervals at this point. Mm-hmm. But keep in mind we have to make sure Nintendo puts us on the schedule. Mm-hmm. We have to print 1,000 more labels, 1,000 more manuals, 1,000 more inlays, to purchase 1,000 more cases, 1,000 more challenge cards, 1,000 more sleeves and slipcases. So it's, again, a lot of these moving parts because they all come from different facilities and then have to assemble them all together. So it's not necessarily hard because all the art is already done. It's saved. We just had to tell them print another 1,000. It's costly. I mean, it's going to obviously cost money to do so. Mm-hmm. And while we're not a limited publisher, a lot of people go, oh, you're another limited publisher. We're not. We will reprint if the demand is there. That's good. If like 5 people say I missed out, would you reprint 1,000 copies for us? No. No. But if there's like a significant demand, we won't say no to it. And down the road, maybe that's going to happen. Now, depending, on the contract, we have X amount of time to reprint. We don't own the rights forever. We didn't feel that was right to own permanent exclusivity. So the rights are not instantly given back like limited run, but they're not, a forever thing like super rare games. They're somewhere in between to allow us to do a reprint should we need to.
So what you're saying is there's a chance you're going to send me and Kris a copy of A Robot Named Fight, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Barry.
I did you not hear me say we're sold out?
Well, you said of the standard edition, but maybe if you reprint, is all I'm saying.
Or you can follow up for a second chance sale, and maybe you can get a retro edition, which comes with an amazing steelbook that is just gorgeous, as well as a SNES style retro box.
Yeah, see that's the thing though. I am so into everything you guys are doing. I think it's very, very cool. I'm also broke, and one of the reasons I buy digital is because it often ends up, being cheaper. It's a thing where I fell out of digital collecting, or of physical collecting a long time ago, just from like the constraints of space and that sort of thing. And I look at the stuff that like what you guys are doing, and I'm like, man, I would love to go down like that rabbit hole again. I really, really would. I just know for myself, I can't. Just because I have a stupidly addictive personality, I'll be like, well, I got one thing physical, so now I need all of them.
But you could just worry about collecting our sets because we go slowly, so it really wouldn't break the bank. It'd be two to 3 games every 6 months. That's really not that bad.
That's fair. You're not a bad salesman, Barry.
And on the back of all of our slipcases, they are numbered. We do have them each numbered 1 to 7, so you can actually put them in a row if you want to put them in order, series 1 to 3.
That's pretty cool. Was that like, what was the intention behind that, of just like knowing how crazy collectors get?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of companies put numbers on the spine. Some people prefer to put them in subsets. Right. Like I'm not one of those. I put everything alphabetical, so the numbers on the spine mean absolutely nothing to me. But we decided, other people were like, well, don't put numbers in the spine because I want to put them alphabetically and a number drives me crazy. So we decided the best solution was to put it on the back of the slipcase, which is done like into the art. And this way, if you choose to display your games, you could do them alphabetically, or you can put them all in order. Or some people actually said, like, oh, I don't really want the slipcase. I just want to display the game case. Fine,
Right.
and you don't have a number at all. It's just there. You do what you want. But it's we decided it would just be something cool to have them numbered somehow. Not individually numbered, but like this is release 1, this is release 2, etc.
So,
Very
I mean,
cool.
obviously, like you've said, you're a physical collector, and there seems to be a couple of there seems to be a different definition for physical out there in the world now. How? What are your thoughts on what Intellivision is doing with their quote unquote physical releases?
Oh, you mean their physical products?
Yeah, there you go. Their physical product. I had a suspicion that was going to be your response with laughter, but I figured I'd ask anyway, just because it seems to be a direction that things could theoretically be going.
I think what they're doing is a piece of shit. I think what they're doing is garbage. The lack of protection on the cards is stupid. I hate the fact that they just didn't at least put the games on the card. Like, I don't care if you're going to use card medium, fine. Hue Cards, Sega Master System. We've seen it before. Hell, the Intuit did it too. Just give us the games on the freaking cards. Give us the data. You know, you could spend that extra money, but I know they don't have the games completed, so that's one reason they haven't done it.
Yeah.
But
and there's no input on the console either for that kind of thing.
Supposedly that's true, but they could add that. They could add a card slot. I mean
they could.
I feel like you're giving them a lot of credit.
They could. I didn't say they were capable of, but they could theoretically.
I don't know if you listened to our interview with Tommy, but he doesn't seem all that interested in doing the right thing. He seems interested in doing a thing.
A thing. That's disappointing. Speaking of that, though, I do have to, full disclosure, I do not have an Amico pre-ordered. I do not know if I'll ever get that system. However, I will...
Nobody's ever going to get that system. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
However, I will admit I do own the 8 physical products that came out just out of the sheer story behind it and the fact that I don't know if the system's ever going to come out, in which case then this is just going to be a footnote and I just want to own a piece of history, a failed piece of history, and I love failed systems, so... just for the...
I'm so there with you. I almost did that for the exact same reason. Like, if I wasn't so just inherently opposed to giving them money at this point, like, because I was rooting for the Amico for quite a while. Not like, bowing at the temple that is Tommy, but I was definitely rooting for this thing to exist because I kind of liked the concept to a degree. Mm-hmm. But after everything that's happened, by the time they did these physical products, I was like, I can't justify being a part of this. I just can't justify giving them money, but I would love to have them because they're fascinating.
Yeah.
They're absolutely fascinating.
The only reason I own them is because it's a fascinating piece of history, of gaming history, and I'm curious just to see how they will proceed from here. I mean, it's not unheard of for smaller companies to do consoles. I mean, we had the whole Ouya Game Stick on live thing of yesteryear, all different variations that all came out and failed spectacularly, but at least they hit market. Then we have other consoles like the Evercade, which came out and has succeeded and has physical media and is a fun little system, and they have the home console coming out. Then you have other things like the Polymega, which everyone thought was gonna not ever come out. Not only is it out and shipping to people, but they just announced an N64 module.
One, yeah.
So
that
they're
thing's
better.
Neat.
I have it pre-ordered. Mine hasn't shipped yet.
I couldn't. That was too rich for my blood. I looked at it as like, wow, that's really neat, but I can't afford that.
It was one of those, like, I'm gonna do it as a Christmas gift for myself, like, because I did it like right after Christmas. And I was like, oh, I'll get it a little late, but whatever, and it still hasn't shipped yet. So that was Christmas of like 2019. So,
but it's a thing. I personally have. I feel like the Amico is gonna happen. Like they're gonna release it. It's
supposedly
just
they did production, right? Didn't they enter production? They announced.
Yeah, they announced that.
Whether that's real or not, we don't know.
What exactly does that mean is a real question. Like, okay, you're in production. What exactly are you producing? It's like, we made the boxes. Okay.
Anyone can make the boxes. That's it's cardboard. Well, remember the Chameleon. They're better than the Chameleon, I guess, right?
Yeah, they're one step ahead of the Chameleon. They're not what was that, a Super Nintendo
Yeah, the
case
Super
or something
Nintendo over an
running in
Atari
there?
Jaguar case.
Yeah, something like that. That was a good time. So they're definitely a step ahead of that, but it's I feel like it's gonna come out, but it's always been so disappointing to me that it seems that it coming out is the end game. Like, that's like, what was that going to be in a couple of years? And like, I can only assume the plan is to release the system just enough so that they get their money, and then that's the end of it, right? I mean, what could possibly be coming down the road in this?
I wish I knew. I just predict that it eventually comes out. It's going to come out to little fanfare. It's going to get torn apart because it's going to underperform. That it's going to quickly just disappear, and then I'm probably going to have to try and buy one just for the sake of having a piece of this failed history.
Yeah, see, that's where you and me are on the same boat, because as much as I was willing to pass on those physical games, I gotta find a way to get an Amico. I have to have one. I'm doing the same thing with the Atari VCS. Like,
I don't have that yet.
I'm just poking around, like, somewhere this is going to go on clearance, and I'm going to be there.
If you find it, let me know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If I find VCS goes on clearance anywhere, I mean, you'll probably already know about it, but if you don't, I will message you, just like the Blaster Master thing.
Yep.
You'll be my partner on that. But because I want one, but I don't really want to use it that much. Like, I just want it because it's fascinating, and
yeah,
I'm not paying that much money for that. And it goes the same thing with the Amico. Like, I've got to have one. This thing looks fascinating. Like, what a controller.
I think that, you were talking about different things for different collectors, and there's different types of game collectors too. And, the worst thing I see people do is go like, oh, my collection is worse, nothing compared to so-and-so's. And I hate when people compare. We had one person in our Discord show off their collection. I'm like, that's fantastic. And like, no, it's not. It's nothing compared to what other people do. I'm like, screw that. It's your collection. You should be proud of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Every collection's unique. And
you collect what you collect. You collect things that mean something to you. If anyone that says that, you have a complete collection. Well, my collection is complete to me for certain things.
Exactly.
Like, I don't want every NES game. Like,
exactly.
So that means that my collection's complete to me. And I like to do positive comments like that. I'm in a couple of collector groups online, and somebody will be like, I just started collecting. Here's my meager Saturn collection of like 4 games. I'm like, that's freaking great, man. That's awesome. Good. You got 4 Saturn games. That's
more
like
than a lot of people
$850.
Yeah, Saturn's very expensive. But that's it. Like, some people like us, we collect for the history as well. Just
absolutely.
Like we, I'm fascinated by just video game history, and I will collect systems and stuff just because they have that footnote, because they have that historical importance, or because they have no historical importance at all, and they came out and they went pfft, and everyone forgot about them. But to me, then it's like, oh, that's even more interesting because no one knows about this thing. I have to try to track it down.
All the different versions of the Supervision, right?
Yeah, Supervision, the Game Master, stuff like that. Yeah.
That stuff's this is so crazy cool. You just look at these weird old. I have one of the Supervisions, and the one that does the 2-degree fold, which is hysterical.
Like, yeah,
it folds like this. But why? Okay, sure.
Because it could.
Exactly, because it could. Exactly. It's got a hinge, and that thing it's one of my favorite things in my collection because it's freaking weird. It's fascinating.
Yep.
You just pull it out and be like, well, wow, look at this thing. Like, I love my Tiger R-Zone. That thing.
I love the R-Zone.
I hate the R-Zone, but I love that thing. You just got to respect a company that says, the Virtual Boy, we can do that.
Well, not only that, but they had 4 revisions. I mean, they went.
Oh my God, they kept going.
You think about that. They went 4 revisions on the damn thing to try and push it out there. That's
absolute
skill.
madness.
Like that's determination.
Yeah, that's That's absolute madness is what that is. You got to respect Tiger for that, right?
Yeah, and they did, 3 on the Gamecom? 3 different...
Oh, my God, right.
3 versions.
I still have the original. I just have the original one. They played a mean game of solitaire on that thing.
Yeah, it was the first system in America that had touchscreen controls.
That thing was cool, man. It was really flat and large, but
yes, it was.
That's not fitting in anyone's pockets. But the handheld game systems, like the original Lynx, that's not going in anyone's pockets either.
Well, that's why they did the Gamecom Pocket Pro and all that, and that was much smaller.
Gamecom. Even though it's game.com, but it's Gamecom because that's what they said in the commercials. It's Gamecom.
Yep.
Oh, good time.
Well, it was .com because it could go online and do
that was the big thing. Was it
internet.
had the internet browser cartridge to go in the second cartridge slot.
Yep. With a modem that you could purchase separately.
I bought that thing.
Nice. You still have the modem?
I feel like I have to because I still have the box and the cartridge. I have to have the modem somewhere.
No, the cartridge and the modem was sold separately.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I have the box somewhere, so it's got to be in my house somewhere. But I don't remember.
That's a hard piece to find. That took me a long time to find the modem.
I have no idea. I can't imagine I would have gotten rid of it. But then again, like it's one of those possible things that I left in my parents' attic that got thrown out at some point. So who knows?
Oh no. That piece of gaming history right there.
Yeah. Well, people like you exist to have it around anyway, so
yeah,
they're out there.
So that's just it. There's so many facets of this industry and so many facets of collecting that, who knows, the Amico could become the next tabletop icebreaker, because I always find, NES or SNES, everyone knows what those are, but you show people like a Supervision and people are, what is that?
Yeah.
And now you have a story to tell. Now you have that icebreaker. It's like, oh, let me tell you about this, and that gets the conversation going. I find that works more than just like, oh, NES, we all had an NES, yay. Super Mario Brothers, everyone had Super Mario Brothers, everyone knows what that is. To me, it's just funny.
Vectrex on my bar behind me in
my
basement. It's like, the hell's that thing? I'm glad you asked.
Exactly. And that's the education is the main reason I collect. I love to be able to educate people because I'm always learning too. I'm always learning new things in this hobby and in the whole industry. And to me, if you're always learning, that's always a good thing. We should always try to learn something new every day.
Yeah, I mean,
my wife hates it though because it usually means I have to spend more money to try and find whatever it is I just learned about. But
yeah, spending money. I keep every now and then I'll get into these phases where right now I'm trying to get the third. I have 2 of the 3 Atari vinyls that they did through Kid Stuff. I have Asteroids and Yar's Revenge.
Nice.
And there was a Missile Command that was in the same trade dress. And I'm like, eyeing up eBay for that Missile Command one. It's like, do I need to spend $50 on this vinyl that I'll never listen to? I mean, I'll listen to it once, but who has time to sit down and listen to that whole thing? It's crazy. But
at least it's only $50, which I know some people say only $50. That's a lot, but some of this older gaming stuff can go for a lot more than $50. You just
oh my god, yeah. Be like, well, you know what? I've started finding I typically only collect U.S. stuff, but I've been starting to dip my toes into some of the I want to get the first releases of some of the games that mean a lot to me. So even though I don't have a functioning disc system, I have Zelda, Metroid, and Kid Icarus on disc system complete. And then I got a Super Mario Brothers cart and a Donkey Kong cart, the complete, the original Famicom ones. And I'm like, all right, this is great. So, well, let's see, what can I find? How much would the original Rockman be? Never. A billion years will I have the original Rock. And the one that really kills me is freaking Metafight. Because Blaster Master's common as heck here in America, but Metafight didn't do anything in Japan. So that cart goes for a freaking chunk of change. Man, I want a complete copy of Metafight because it's there it is. That's the original. It's the one that's kind of a different animal. There's different stuff in there. And yes, I can play it on Nintendo Switch Online, but I want that cart and that manual because that's what I'm collecting it for. I'm not going to plug that cartridge into my Famicom and play it. I want to have the physical cart and manual to look at and flip through. Like, those manuals on those disk system games are incredible. Like, that's worth the money for me. Like, looking at that artwork printed on these little crazy manuals and the stickers that come in and the yellow disc, that stuff is so flippin' cool. And like, I'm never going to collect all the things, but the ones that really mean something to me, those the game series that have stuck with me through my whole life, like getting the original Famicom version. Like, I don't have Super Nintendo Street Fighter 2 because that one got stolen from me ages ago. But I have the Super Famicom version completed box, and that's really cool to me because Street Fighter 2 was such a big deal. Now I have the original version of that, like the home console version of the one that I played, you know?
You don't have the Super Nintendo Street Fighter 2?
That's like a $5 game.
Not anymore. It's like $15. And every time I look at it, you're like, well...
I'm talking card only.
I was over at my local game shop, and they had it for $12.99 for the just loose Street Fighter 2. It's like,
wow.
Man, I mean, I could, but then I would want the game complete in the box. And then at that point, like, well, I have the Japanese version complete in box and about 450,000 other ways to play this game. Like, is this what I want to spend the money on so that I can have my Street Fighter 2 next to my Street Fighter 2 Turbo and my Super Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo? Like, it's that weird point where I'm at
so you would need a complete in box. You wouldn't settle for card only
on that game. No, probably not. It's one of those things that I remember I had that game and then it was taken from me, and I never spent the money to get it back because I had Turbo and Super, you know?
Yeah.
And now it just keeps getting to the point where I delay it and it's getting more expensive. Like, but I only want it for the sake of having it. And it's like, well, I have a finite amount of space to work with here in my house. Like, I now know how much room I have for my collection. Like, I was just at my local game store over the weekend because a friend of mine came to visit, and I bought 2 Atari carts I bought one Atari cart that I didn't have, and another Atari cart that I absolutely loved. I couldn't turn it down because it was a copy of Asteroids, but somebody had taken a label maker and written "Shoot Rocks" on it.
Oh, I saw that picture you shared.
I don't know why, but it made me laugh, so I had to buy it. It was $2. And I forget what the other was. Arcade Golf. It was a Telegames Arcade Golf. It was like, I love these Telegames releases. But I bought those carts and I took them home. I was like, well, I don't have any more room for my loose Atari carts on this shelf. So I had to like jigger some stuff around and stack things in places that made me less than happy because I'm super anal about the way that they line up and whatnot. But that's kind of like where I am with Super Nintendo. There's a couple more complete in box Super Nintendo games I would want to get, but then where do I put them? And like, what do I take down from the stuff that's out on display to put back, put into my closet where I could keep it there? Like, I have a finite amount of funds and space, and now I'm at this point where I have to really be careful about what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because where am I going to put it?
I always tell collectors that, someone, my holy grail is this, my holy grail is this, blah, blah. No. If you're a collector, your holy grail is free space. Because that is the most valuable thing to any collector, having more room to put stuff.
Yeah.
It's universal. Every collector needs more room.
Yeah, absolutely. Action figures or whatever, like,
it all takes up space.
It all does. Even the thin stuff, like trading cards and comics, like,
it
adds up.
It does add up. See, when you were saying before, like, you need 2, you had 2 of 3, and you needed a third one, I thought you were going to say CDI Zelda games.
No, I have all 3 of those. Oh, technically, I have all 3 of those. I have the third version. I have has a story behind it, so I like that even better. Like, I have original complete Faces of Evil and Wand of Gamelon, and then during one of the hurricanes when I still lived up in North Jersey, my basement flooded and my CDI got wet, got flooded, and I found a guy in New York who
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, he repaired it for me, and then he gave me a demo disc thing that had the full game on it with the repair, and I was like, well, this is better than finding the original version because this has a cool story behind it. Because like, I got this through this guy who fixed my CDI, and that's awesome. And eventually,
he used to work for Philips.
He used to work for Philips, yeah.
Yeah.
And he fixed that thing up like new. It still works great, and it makes me happy as a clam. And that Zelda's Adventure, quote unquote, works very well. I eventually bought a repro just so that I could have the box art and the manual. This European company did this really nice looking repro. Looks pretty legit. That when you get real close to it, you can tell that it's been, printed and not. It's been locally printed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just as far as it sitting on my shelf, like it looks pretty legit. And the game itself doesn't play that great, which is unfortunate. No. Like the disc itself is super choppy, whereas like the copy that guy gave me runs like the original game does. So I don't know. That was weird, but it was just kind of like a physical thing to have there to look at and be like, this is my reproduction copy so that I can have the physical box and whatnot. Because I've gotten to the point where I don't really care so much about tracking down the originals, since reproductions have gotten so nice looking, and it's not like I'm buying them to sell them to try to pass them off as the originals. It's like
you're doing it for your own personal.
Exactly. Like I wanted to have my the black box NES games. I wanted to have a shelf full of those, and I only have like 4 or 5 boxes, but I have all the carts. So I ordered repro boxes to have them lined up on my shelf so that my carts can have a nice little home for them up there, and they look great. They make me happy. So
that's what I love about looking at people's collections, like room tours and stuff, just because everyone displays things differently and everyone does their own thing, and I love it because it kind of like shows your character, like it's that personal touch.
Yeah, it was really fun with my friend Mike over here, like going through he's one of the few people I know that just appreciate the level of insanity to which I organized my stuff. It's like, so these are all the first party Nintendo NES titles that I separated, because these are the ones that are on the flat colored background. So that's why Kirby's Adventure is in my closet, because that doesn't have a flat colored background. That has like art and stuff on it. It's like I made an exception for Xanadu because it's got like a little bit of stuff on it, but it's still kind of a flat background. It matches the other ones, but these Nintendo logos are bigger than the other ones. And this then, like, he looked at my closet, it's like, oh, why isn't Bubsy on display? I know what a big Bubsy fan you are. It's like, it's because it's freaking upside down. He's like, what are you talking about? So he put the Super Nintendo game on the shelf, and the logo is upside down. There's like a whole stack of Super Nintendo games that are like that I had to put in the closet because they're freaking upside down. It drives me crazy. Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
I just put them all alphabetical. That's all I care about. There you are.
Super Nintendo, I started to do that alphabetical, and I'd be like, all right, here's Lemmings, and then there's Lemmings 2. Lemmings is upside down. The words are going the wrong way. Okay, I'll flip it upside down. Well, now the red bar's on the other side, so it sticks out like a sore thumb. Go into the closet.
To the closet with you.
The closet's where I have all the stuff that's organized in ways that don't match. So, like, here's where all the other stuff is, so I can close that door. So when I'm looking at things that are all like really pretty and stuff, that's the stuff on the shelves that are out here on the floor. And then in the closet, it's just like, they're all organized, but it's a little messy. And I'm okay with it because it's in the closet. They're on the homemade shelves. And
that
good
is
times.
Hilarious. Well, you know what?
Well,
that's part of what makes your collection unique. But you hear that, Dan?
Yeah.
I hope you got some good gift ideas for Kris from this, because he said a couple things that he would like. You know,
I was about to go fucking out into my storage and grab my loose copy of Street Fighter 2, but that's not good enough for him.
You know what? I was honestly about to send him one too. I don't have it in the
fucking box. So
that's why I asked him. I asked him, you have to be complete in box. I was like, I have a Street Fighter 2. I'll send it to you. But when you said it had to be complete in box, yeah.
I will drive the cart to your house.
For a game that important, like that important to me, Street Fighter 2, I would really want to have that one complete.
Look at this snob right here, you know?
I know, he's very difficult to shop for.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You have got to... I've just looked up price charting on that one, and I just want to cry.
What is it?
Street Fighter 2 for Super Nintendo loose is charting right now at $13.83. Complete, $140.
Oh my god.
Are you kidding me? For Street Fighter 2, it's like...
It's the worst version of the game on the console, too.
Exactly. Like, why?
It's because of all of you fucking collector psychopaths.
Why
to fucking
look at stadium events versus world class track meet.
Yeah, exactly. But like that one I get, because that's legitimately a rare thing.
But it's the same game as world class track meet.
Almost. It says Bandai on the screen in the background.
That's the only difference.
Or it's got a bunch of weird white dots in the world class. Yeah, that's the only difference. But historical significance, at least I understand it. But this Street Fighter 2, seriously, for Super Nintendo, that game's insane. It's everywhere. Why is the boxed version $140?
How many copies of Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt did we just throw away or give away or use as coasters? And now that game's like $5-6.
More than that.
Like, really? What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's way more than that now, I believe.
That's absurd. You should not spend that much money on that game.
I feel like it's like in the 15-20 range maybe now.
I mean, that
Super
fuck
Mario
you
Brothers.
if you pay that much for that game. Just no. Just
What the
no.
hell is it? I can't even find it.
Let's see. I'm looking on eBay now.
There it is. NES, $7.83.
I'm seeing it for $11, $15.
Yeah, it's price charting around $7.83 for now, and I like how there's a complete price. You fuckers. There's no box for that game. How dare you?
But that's just the craziness. Everything like Wii Sports, when the pandemic hit, Wii Sports went from a $5 game to like a $35 game or $40 game.
And it's nuts because there's billions of them out there, but like for not for nothing, that game's still fun.
It is. And a lot of people stuck at home wanted to do bowling and tennis and stuff.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find myself a copy of the Wii Play Motion. That never really dropped in price. I never found that one for cheap. And Wii Sports Club on Wii U, like it's still hovering around the $40 range. It's like I just don't wanna. Like I don't. The only thing I want in there is Wii Bowling, right? Because that's what we still play, and that's what I have, the downloaded version of Wii Sports Club. But they're still selling each individual sport for like $10, and it's like I'm not paying $10 for boxing. It's terrible, but I kind of want it. That's why I would want to get the physical one, and I kept hoping that it would drop in price someday, but it never did.
Wii U stuff isn't going to drop in price anytime soon.
Yeah, never. Like I was eyeing up Devil's Third when it released just for the hilarity of that game's existence.
You should have bought it.
I never saw it physically. I was like, yeah, if I find it, I might buy it. But
I ordered it from Amazon.
Never even physically saw it, and then just started shooting up in value. I was like, well, guess that's not happening.
Look at what happened with Breath of the Wild for Wii U. You know that one?
Did that go up in price finally?
Well, the launch edition, it was launched with an error with it where it showed 7 different controllers in the back when you can't play with all those configurations. So they had to quickly re-release it with the right controllers inputs, and that version with the 7 controllers is worth like $1,000 brand new.
Really? I'm looking at first print on price charting at $387.
Well, brand new.
Yeah, that's listed as at its new price. Interesting.
Right. I mean, it depends on how often they sell.
I didn't know that. You know what? I hold on 1 second. Dan,
I see it for $330. I see it for. I see it also here for $150. It might have come down. Here's one for $500. Someone's asking. So it peaked at like $1,000, but I still see like $489, $360 online. These are eBay listings right now.
Which is crazy. Just crazy.
$671. Those are brand new. Obviously, the misprint is like $40 pre-owned and stuff. But to have it brand new, because the most people who bought that game, they just ripped it open to play. It was Breath of the Wild,
of course. Yeah.
So there's less of them brand new sealed. Here's one $781.85.
So like what's the misprint exactly? Like
on the back of the box where it shows the controller configurations, you will see, if you see the gamepad, the Wiimote Plus, the Pro Controller Plus, for the Wii Pro Controller Plus, the Pro Controller, and then the Wiimote Nunchuck.
Yep, that's mine. I bought this one day one.
That's the misprint. You can't play the game with those combinations.
Yeah, I never even considered looking at that. It's like,
so they re-released it with
Seriously?
what you can
Hilarious.
use. Yeah, you can't use it. It's a misprint.
Oh, that's delightful. I didn't even know.
Is yours still open or sealed?
Oh, it's open.
So then it's worth about $40 or so. But it's still a misprint.
This is the one that I lent you, Dan.
Yeah, I know. I think I opened it. Sorry.
That's okay. I don't care.
My bad.
But now you know it's a misprint version. So that was the first
that's
print.
Neat.
It's a new little story to tell.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
I do too. That's why I look for it. And
it's like when I learned all those weird things about my copy of Ocarina of Time, like the I got a first print of that one. Like
The gold.
years later, I'm learning about the gold cart is like, oh, you've got different music in the Fire Temple. It's like, oh, do I now? And then I learned years later, like, God, I think it wasn't until I played through the game on like the Wii Virtual Console or something when I beat it and Ganon barfed up green. I was like, the hell?
Yeah.
Like, oh no, they changed that. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, my copy barfs up red, like in the original game. It's like, oh, they changed that to green. Well, when the hell did that happen?
When I found out about that and the Fire Temple music change, there was another game that had something very similar that happened. It was called Kakuto Chojin
for Xbox, yeah.
Yep. Same thing happened where it was an Xbox exclusive, had that music. They pulled it for the music, but they actually never re-released it. Yeah. They just said, this game didn't sell well enough, we're just not selling it anymore. So
I bought that game for that exact reason. That's not worth anything, right?
I know. I bought the same reason. I found that story. I'm like, I'm going to buy this game just for this story.
And it currently runs for complete in box about $15.
Yeah, it's just for the story. It's a terrible game. That's why they didn't bother re-releasing. It's an Xbox exclusive, and it's got unlicensed musical that can be considered religious songs that shouldn't be there.
And with a name like Kakuto Chojin, it just rolls off the tongue. It's just, you got to wonder why it wasn't a huge success.
Exactly. But like, I love things like that. As a collector, I love these weird little quirks. And like we sometimes, even at Premium, we try and do some stuff. We try and do some exclusive stuff for that reason. I mentioned Super Blood Hockey going back and forth in Lot Check earlier. Our copy of Super Blood Hockey has less bugs than the digital version because they never changed the digital version. With the Pigeon Dev Games collection, they gave us a brand new soundtrack. So the digital versions of like Awesome P, Bucket Knight, Explosive Jake, there's whole different soundtrack than the physical version that we have.
That's cool. It's kind of like that. Blaster Master had the English voice or something was only available in the
Asian English release.
Yeah, and there was the standalone release. There was something exclusive about, like, I think the third game was the only way to get the English voice, or there was some way. So Limited Run had like the exclusive on one of the English voices, I think. They had some sort of exclusive with that. That stuff's weird.
It is very weird.
Good times though. Well, I think I feel like we've kept you long enough. I mean, I could ramble about weird game collecting stuff.
Hey, let's do it. Let's go.
I got work in the morning.
Damn that work.
Gotta take the kids to school. I gotta make stuff. Good times. All right. Well, this has been a hoot. Thanks for joining us, Barry.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here.
So I guess if anyone wants to find you online, like give your plugs. I mean, obviously we talked about your companies a lot, but give the info.
All right. So you can find me on Twitter at Hawk Hellfire. Feel free to follow me, send me DMs. I'm always up for talking video games and weird aspects of collecting, like we've talked about tonight. And if you have any cool little tidbits, always like to hear more and like to share and spread the knowledge. It's to me one of the most fun things about just game collecting. You could also find me, mentioned NintendoFuse, NintendoFuse.com. You can go to YouTube.com/NintendoFuse, where you can follow us for industry talks, like my industry talk with Heritage Auctions, which is up now. Also, we have game reviews as well as our bi-weekly podcast, and our next episode will be a week from today on the 6th. Will be our Game of the Year episode. So join us live and tell us your Game of the Years for 2021. And then, of course, PremiumEditionGames.com, where right now you can pre-order Series 3. We've got the premium standards for all three of our releases, Cathedral, Phenotopia Awakening, and Mighty Fight Federation available. And the retro edition of Mighty Fight Federation is running low. On the site, you could also check blogs, such as interviews with the developers that I've done, as well as the Switch Mania Playcast, where you can hear us do our weekly show all about different games. And if you listen to the cast, you actually get a lot of insider information about Premium Edition and stuff that goes on that we don't actually tell other people for a while. So you actually get some really cool insider info. You could also follow them on Twitter, Premium Edition 1. So absolutely go there, join our mailing list. Discords for both NintendoFuse and Premium Edition. Please go and join as well. Lots of conversations going in both Discords. And if you got some games that you want to see physical, please let us know. We will do our best to make it happen, but we can't promise you anything.
Well, all right. And on that note, I think we're going to wrap things up. That is our show. Thanks for listening, everybody. Join us next week when we'll be doing our next Stone Age starter kit. Sorry, Dan, I'm putting off our Christmas episode for one more week.
Son of a bitch.
We got to do the starter kit. What is the next one on our list?
Super Nintendo?
Oh, God, really? Are we up to Super Nintendo? So. We did Game Boy already, right?
Yeah.
Wow, shit. All right, time flies. All right. Yeah, there it is. Stone Age starter kit for Super Nintendo. So we'll be piecing that together for next week, and then we will do our fun Christmas idea. Dan had a great Christmas idea, and I'm keeping it a secret until we're ready to announce it. So, meh.
Meh, that's right.
We're on most social media platforms, and if you want to get in touch with us, we aren't very difficult to find. All it takes is a quick look at our show notes, and you'll see links to our social media accounts, as well as all manner of other fun stuff, like a link to our namesake, StoneAgeGamer.com, the Geekade Patreon, which helps us keep this show running week after week, and more useful links than you can shake a joystick at. This show's theme song, Squared Roots, was written by Banjo Guy Ollie. You can learn all about his wonderful music and more by following the link to his YouTube channel, also in the show notes. And finally, as always, we'd like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan, for making the show listenable for all you folks. I would like to thank all you folks for listening in the first place. Thank you again for joining us, Barry.
Hey, thank you again so much for having me.
Hey, no problem.
Let's not wait 200 episodes or whatever in between again. Let's do it more often. This is fun.
I mean, no promises, but I'll try. All right, on behalf of Dan and myself, keep playing games.